I do not know what I titled this video, but I do know we are going to be talking about several questions Kotler detailed in his book in chapter 2, I believe, which, if I recall correctly, is about using marketing to understand, create, communicate, and deliver value, which is an important topic, especially if you want to become a marketer. So let's get straight into the first question, and you're going to be very impressed by my slide presentation. Whoa, look at that. Look at all those fancy animations. More importantly, how do you define marketing in your company? Oftentimes, this is a question I get now that I have declared a marketing major, and they say, hey, so you're going into advertising or you're going into sales. And I say, no, the definition of marketing is not just selling. It's the strategic process of identifying unmet needs, preparing satisfying solutions, and creating demand. Our philosophy as marketers is, this is coming from David Packard, marketing is far too important to be left only to the marketing department, which is funny because oftentimes, and you'll see this is answered by a lot of questions, there are so many other departments that screw up the marketing process because they don't understand they have a part in it, that they are in charge of creating the brand and the environment and satisfying the customer's needs. But we'll get more to that with later questions. Let's get back to the main slide here. Look at this. How do we adopt a marketing-driven approach? We don't just serve markets, we shape them, which is an idea. I don't know if it's in here. I'll just detail it now. If it doesn't show up, then oh well. But there are two kinds of markets. Or companies. There's market-driven companies. Market-driven companies and market-shaping companies. Market-driven companies are those who just see the needs and wants of the people around them and just create whatever they want. Market-driven companies, as I just read, don't just serve markets, they shape them. And I think that's an important part of market-driven companies. Market-shaping companies. Whew! Next slide. How is marketing seen by other departments in the company? This is important because my previous question, I'm going to flip back to me, is how do you describe marketing to someone? For me, I'm just telling to people who are asking me about my major. For you, it might be because you work in a certain company or you are in a declared major. And this may help you out with that question. Because the misconception, many departments, even CEOs, misunderstand marketing as just advertising or sales. So when someone comes up to you and says, yo, you're a marketer, right? So you do advertising. No, it's more than that. Because the reality is, marketing begins before the product exists. It involves research, identifying demand, and designing solutions. Again, marketing is way more complex than it really seems to be. When I originally was thinking about doing marketing, I was like, okay, so I'm going to do ads or something like that. No, I read David Ogilvy's, David Ogilvy's book, Ogilvy on Advertising. I was exposed to the complexity of marketing. Sure, that book is just about advertising. I guess this book more so exposed me to the complexity of advertising. Let's get into one last little quote I have here, or two different marketing equals. It's the interdepartmental awareness. Marketing is equal to strategic leadership. You need a good leader, marketing management. It's actually, if we go back, what the book's called, How to Create, Win, and Dominate Markets, Kotler on marketing. But marketing is equal to integration across all departments. In practice, this isn't always recognized, and you'll see how customer-minded are each of the other departments in your company. This is kind of answering that question before, that all the departments come together to form what is marketing, but you shouldn't just leave the marketing department to the marketing department. Or you shouldn't just leave marketing to the marketing department. Instead, what you need to do is you need to encourage all the departments to work together in order to win their clients and customers. How customer-minded are each of the other departments in your company? And I've marked this by dots. So black is 3 points for research and development. But I have notes from the book over here as well. So often disconnected from user feedback. That's the problem with research and development. But overall, it's a decent customer-minded department of a company. Sales, on the other hand, is even better than R&D because they have to talk to the people. It would attribute some points, at least. Their only problem is that they're reactive and not always strategic. That they're always, hey, how can I get these people instead of how can I win these people? The winning through the customer mind. Logistics, I actually don't know too much about this. He wrote that it focused on delivering but not experience, which I guess makes sense. You don't want a package to come in a tattered up box, even though it came super fast. It's not the delivering experience. For instance, maybe put some like gummy bears or a fun snack in there whenever you deliver one, like a product of yours, and that's encourages the experience. But I don't know if that's really the logistics department. That's my weakest knowledge of my weakest knowledge is in logistics. Accounting is too, because they often prioritize cost over customer impact, which makes sense. You're trying to save money, and so if they're not prioritizing a customer mind, then yeah, it's not going to get high ranking. Public relations, on the other hand, is a really good rating because they are highly customer facing and image conscious. They're always looking, hey, what is the customer's opinion on us? How do they look at us? Finances really focus on value creation for customers. That's a 3. I think it's self-explanatory. And then manufacturing, it's pretty low as well because it's centered on efficiency, not users' needs. Again, accounting and manufacturing are both the lowest ranked just because they prioritize other things other than the customer. You don't want that to always be the case. You want the customer to always be prioritized, or else you're not going to win them over. Next question, what are the weakest departments? And just a little note real quick. These are Kotler's words, okay? All of these things I'm saying are Kotler's words. I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but I do know this guy's legit. So I'm going to go over not what departments are bad. I think he listed them out somewhere. I didn't record it properly. But instead, I did record what things he said to improve in each company or each department. That way, they become better. Started with R&D. So use marketing insights earlier in the product development, which makes sense. If you're trying to become more customer-centric, then you need to prioritize customers' opinions and thoughts on whatever you're researching earlier on than just whatever statistic you're running. And I think a theme with all these, you'll see customer first. Because accounting, we need to tie metrics to customer satisfaction and retention. Instead of just saying how much can we make, how much are we making off these people in the long run, and how satisfied are they? Because if they're not satisfied, then they're not going to stay. I didn't record it in this presentation, but I'll give you a quick rundown. There are 3 different rankings of satisfactions. There's completely hated it, there is didn't like it, in between, satisfied, and extremely satisfied. And out of those, the low 3, so the indifferent, hated, and extremely hated, those 3 will most likely lose customers because the guy wasn't even satisfied. He was like, it works. He might side for a competitor's brand or whatever you're selling. Even satisfied, if they're like, oh, this company can have a more satisfying product, then I'm going to side with that. So every time you want to aim for that super satisfying rating, which is why you want to keep that in account with finances, my guess, in Kotler's words. Manufacturing, hold cross-functional reviews with customer feedback. Again, we're just talking about having the customer first, making sure their opinions are voiced, and we understand what they want and how we can deliver that. Sales, train in anticipative and need-shaping marketing, not just closing. Again, customer is first, not just closing the client, but instead really trying to keep them and anticipating what they need next. A reminder from Kotler himself, marketing is the homework that managers undertake. Homework, that's a David Ogilvy term. If you read his book or know anything about him, he very specifies doing your homework. As a marketer, we need to do our homeworks. Next slide. Does your business unit operate on the mass market level, the segment level, the niche level, or the individual customer level? So the current focus, at least in this economy, or at least in this era of marketing, is the segment and niche level. These 2 are the best. Because if it's the individual customer, it's going to be really hard to invest in a lot of people. Whoa! Oh, I just realized my screen is lagging. Let me fix that. Okay. So instead, we should use benefit segmentation, which is segmenting based on how people benefit off of our goods. I just gonna make more dots. Usage segmentation, and then we have lifestyle segmentation. So both are just different ways to segment your your customers. Clients are a niche of customer. So an example would be single segmentation marketing helps us dominate, but comes with risks. And the risk is if you lose that single segmentation, say it's teenagers who enjoy video games or like play a certain type of video game. If those teenagers all of a sudden aren't interested in the kind of product you're selling, your company is doomed. Instead, what you can do is, I think it's like double segmentation where you have two different, so like a lifestyle and a benefit segmentation. Is this still the right level given the current and future marketplace? The answer is yes, the current level that you're working at, but we must prepare for evolution. In essence, it's saying what you're currently doing is technically good enough, but right now you also need to be preparing for what is yet to come, because marketing is an ever-changing field. Reasons: more customers expect personalization. This is something that has come with the future. This is something actually he predicted, Kotler did, because this is an older book. But with that, he predicted, you know what? People are going to want more customization, and we're going to have the option. And look at, we have AI. If you go to foods, there's usually more customizational options. If you want to buy clothes, there are tons of clothing brands and different options, thousands upon thousands, probably even more than thousands. We have data allows for individual level targeting. That now we can do Facebook ads where we say, hey, I want to target people in this local area who like golfing. Future strategy, gradual shift to one-to-one marketing where appropriate. So instead of just, okay, I'm going to grab this pool of people, we are now grabbing a specific one person and talking to them, which is actually possible for have you seen those? I've been on this slide for a while. Have you seen those ad agencies where they take up clients, they do the social medias for them, but they only have 5 clients, but each client pays 5,000. I think that's a pretty good example, and as actually something that Kotler himself guessed would happen. Pretty cool. List those circumstances where your marketing strategy and plans were sound, but there were unanticipated problems of implementation. These are examples from Kotler's past. So launch delays due to logistics, sales not trained on new messaging, budget cuts mid-campaign, misalignment between vision and execution, which I'm sure that last one happens a lot. Last but not least, what implementation problems tend to occur and what can be done to avoid them? So common problems are lack of internal buy-in, poor cross-functional coordination, incomplete following through on this formula, which I kind of forgot what it was after I copied it, but it stands for segmentation, targeting, positioning. This is market mix, which is the 4 P's of marketing. Then this implementation, and this is control. Solutions to these common problems: strengthen cross-team collaboration. Use the full 5-step marketing management process, R, I'm assuming standing for research, and then build feedback loops early instead of later. Bottom line, a great strategy fails without clear execution. That's legit. For instance, if you need to do something that's outside of your comfort zone or big or may take a while, instead of just saying, I'm going to do insert whatever you're thinking of, for me it's prepping for, I'm going on a trip, so I have to prep a bunch of videos. But instead of just okay, I'm just going to make a bunch of videos, I'm going to instead work on each individual step. I have listed out 15 steps, breaking down each video or short or stream, or not into streams, but or podcast down into small steps, and then I'm going to implement those. Hopefully that will end well. We'll see. But thanks for sticking to the end. If you are a marketer, please subscribe, because the content only gets better from here. I'm telling you. I just need time. I'll make it better. I'll do more research. We'll learn together. We'll have a good time. I hope you have a good day. And thanks for sticking to the end. Godspeed.